Well, happy Friday night, everybody. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. It is great to see you. Fire is blazing over here. Hey, isn't it spring eve? Is tomorrow it? Tomorrow is the first day of spring, isn't it? Is it? I saw some people posting happy first day of spring, but I don't think in the US. It doesn't say on my calendar. Is it tomorrow? Please let it be tomorrow. I saw a few patches of snow today, not coming down, just leftover remnants of a very long winter. I'm ready for the next thing. I bet you are too. It is great to see everybody tonight. Um, yeah, so many things to talk about tonight. But the main thing we're going to be talking about is the current issue of Magpie Times. I never do this. I do all of the other magazines and lots of books. But I rarely do my own stuff, and I don't know why. I guess once I do cat in the litter box, right? Once it's done, I'm like out of there, and I don't really think of past projects. Isn't that crazy? But I do get a lot of stuff that says, are you gonna review this or that? And I think, oh, or are we gonna return to something like the Haunted Rug book? It has like 100 patterns in it, and I think well, we should do that, right? But tonight we are doing it. We are looking at this issue of Magpie Times. It is the spring issue. This is 2026. And it really is a gorgeous issue. The theme is tea. And when I went through it today, I don't always go through it with a tooth comb, I have to admit, just out of busyness. And if I see any mistakes, I kind of can't handle it. So sometimes it's good to just stick with cat coming out of the litter box and just do it and then run. But I took some time and looked at this one, and I have to say, I was so pleased and impressed with all of the articles and the content that are in there. I started writing notes to a few people who put work into this issue of Magpie because I never do, and I'm thinking I should really be doing that too. I really need twice as much time as I've got. Like I really, truly do. It's not like I'm just fooling around. I was sitting working on the Roses book, and then I sprang up, put a second sweater on. I'm freezing, and logged on. Everything works like this. But let's say in an ideal world, I had unlimited time, I would be answering every comment always on the YouTube videos, and I would be writing to everybody. And I do hope to get to be this person soon, getting a little bit of help from Jocelyn. As you know, my husband helps me too. But yeah, it's still a lot. But I do hope I can get to a point where when the magazine comes out or project happens, I can write to that person and say, "My God, you did such a nice job." So I started that a little bit today while I was having lunch, and it felt really good to be writing to people and just letting them know that I'm paying attention because I'm not always paying attention. But in this case, I am trying to. I have so many things to talk about with you for us to talk about together. But let me just first, before I get myself out of order here, let me start by saying, Kirsten, it's great to see you. Happy Friday. How are things in Vermont? What's that? Oh, it's a peace sign. I thought it was a bunny. I was thinking, oh no, is it Easter weekend? Did I miss it? I think Buttons wants to go outside. Yeah, there's creatures outside now. I just dropped Teddy off at my mom's house like a couple hours ago. He's gonna stay over there tonight, and I'm gonna head over there tomorrow. Giant bear on the side of the road, biggest one I have ever seen. Honestly, I didn't know that they could be this big. I couldn't believe it. I saw it from so far up the road, and as I got closer, it was still kind of on the side of the road waiting to cross. Massively big, and his eyes were like it was like he was waking up. Maybe he had just woken up, but it was unreal how big he was. So they're awake. Like, oh, they're awake. I was thinking maybe they won't wake up for a couple of months, but now we have to be really vigilant and stop feeding the animals outside, and that makes me so sad. Otherwise, they're going to come directly here and just look for food and animals to snack on. And we can't have that, of course. Um, Lar, great to see you in sizzling Las Vegas. Really? It's sizzling? Oh my gosh, it looks like you're sweating it up over there. I'm sorry. It is so cold here that I have two actual sweaters on. I'll probably shed one with the fire going, but oh my God. Liza, great to see you, Liza. I'm so sorry about when I did that presentation. I did the presentation at my church and I misattributed one of the rugs that was Liza's, and it was such, there were two rugs of hers that I have in the Rose book. And I didn't do it in the Rose book and I didn't do it in other places. It was just at the church, but I felt so bad about that. I am so sorry about that. Good to see you. Cheers, my dears. Cheryl, cheers, my dears, and happy spring. Like to see those flowers, those green things there. Myra, great to see you in Virginia. Welcome back. And Linda B, great to see you. Spring equinox was this morning. Happy spring. So it is spring. It's actually spring. I know it's different. Is it different in different countries? I feel like, is spring different in different countries or is the calendar the same everywhere? I don't know either. Because like, Mother's Day is different everywhere. Not really sure. Um, happy spring. Happy spring equinox. I'm just going to say it, even if it's not right here. Diane, great to see you. Hello again. And Charlotte, happy Friday. Great to see you. Dave, great to see you. Chicken under the broiler. The cider is ready. Did I just cross wires there? No, that was you. I'm thinking, is that Karen saying she's having a cider? Karen, usually have something different. Dave, chicken is ready under the broiler. Sounds delicious, and the cider is ready. Now that sounds like you. All set for Magpie review. Fantastic, Karen. Happy spring solstice on a beautiful, clear 78-degree evening in Black Forest, Colorado. That's crazy because you just had that crazy snowstorm. That's really crazy. Okay, it's spring. Everybody knows it. Happy spring. Joyce, happy spring. Melissa, hello. Happy spring. 98 degrees. Lard, that's bonkers. We're talking about Las Vegas in the US, right? That's crazy. Is the sun like just hanging out over that part of the country there? I mean, that's really hot. Oh my gosh. Um, Oh, of course, of course. And of course, Liza, I'm sorry. Catherine, good to see you all from springtime in Missouri. That sounds really good, doesn't it? Springtime everywhere. Oh, finally, Sharon, great to see you. Happy Friday. Lachelle, I hope you got my message. Great to see you. It has been a warm one there in Nebraska. Lachelle, I'm guessing you're the same Lachelle. Wrote earlier, sent an email to say, I'm going to hook with fabric. I know that's not typical. Not this is not word for word, right? I'm paraphrasing. I know that's not like the huge, but how wide do you think I should cut it? And I wrote back and said, do you mean like quilt fabric, like fabric? And if so, it's not the huge, but why not? Right? We all hook with different things. We all enjoy different things. We have different preferences. And I have hooked with quilting fabric, as many of you know, I did a couple of projects with like the K facet fabric, and I used my rotary cutter to cut it, right? And I cut it about an inch. And the reason I did that I said to Lachelle, was because with quilt fabric, there is a right side and a wrong side. And since that is the case, I'll use my Swatch watch container to demonstrate this principle. I bought these beautiful vintage Swatch watches, and even though the clock still works, the bands are brittle, so they like broke, and I had to order new bands, which is a bummer because kind of the point of a Swatch watch is the band, right? Anyway, it's not working. Forget it. It won't open. The band doesn't work, and the case doesn't work. I'm gonna do it with this. So if the material, right, like let's say this is the print of the material, let's say it's flowers, back of it's white. So when you hook with it, it comes up in weird ways and you end up seeing the white a lot. So I always cut it a little bit wider, about an inch, and then I fold it in half like this, right? And so then because it's folded, almost like if you're making bias tape, right? If you're a sewer, so it comes up with showing the print every time. Do you use twice as much fabric? Sort of, but at the same time, if you're, I'm going off on a tangent. At the same time, if you're hooking with quilt material and you're not using a carrier, like you don't have a little piece of wool like under it or something like that, it's going to come up very limp and look very sort of wilted. You know how people say with rug hooking, like, oh, your loops look like they're like in full bloom, right? They're so lofty and they bloom really big. With quilt fabric, it's so thin, you don't get that great bloom. So it's not a bad idea to fold it in half and use double layers, right? It's expensive. But hey, if you've got it, you might as well use it, right? Charlotte working on Like a Kid again. Oh, how fun as I listen to this. Yes. Oh, I'm so glad. I hope you're having fun with it. I loved doing that one. I've got to get going on the next one. I have the design. I just need to get going. Susan, great to see you. I still want to ask questions about the fold out thing. of Mark, of course. I'll do that this week. Great, good to see you. Great, great to see you. You made it. Happy Friday night. It is great to see you. Mom, you made it. I thought you were going to be late. Teddy and I are all set for the evening. They just went out on their pizza run. Teddy, when you ask Teddy what, Teddy's my son, and he's over at my mom's house. When you ask him what his favorite food is in the world, it is the pizza at Gami's because there's this special pizza place. It has a weird name like like mozzarella pizza or something like that. Like it's like not a name, it's confusing to look it up, but it's his favorite. So I thought they were going to be late, but picked up the pizza, got back home. He's got his pizza. Everybody's ready to go. I'm glad you're in for the night, Mom. That makes me happy. Colleen, great to see you. I used Colleen's image from Magpie Times for the thumbnail tonight, that framed bunny. Colleen, it is so beautiful. Thank you so much. I meant to write at some point today to say that I was going to use it, and I figured you saw me tag you. What a beautiful piece. And it's a great piece to sort of honor this amazing issue. So lovely. And a lot of people have commented on that already. Colleen, for you in Maryland, it's 60 degrees at the moment. The 40s are just around the corner. Crazy spring. Colleen, do you know when the Maryland Fiber Festival is off the top of your head? I was thinking about coming down for it if it was a free couple of days for me. I was going to see if I could like stay overnight and do that festival and a couple of things. Jessica, great to see you. Hello to you too. Everybody, happy cocktail night. Absolutely. Liza said you could also put a piece of wool under something like sari that's very thin. Exactly. And sometimes that's called like a carrier where you put one thing on top of another. So, and again, it's like, am I using twice as many supplies? Sort of, right? But if you're not if you don't have those supplies earmarked anyway, who cares, right? So if you have something really thin, like a piece of quilt fabric or sari ribbon, right? As Liza says, and you put it over something thick like wool, you just hook it together, right? You hook both pieces together. That's like the carrier is the thick thing. There's other things you can use for carrier, like fleece, like that cheap like polar fleece stuff. Some of it's fancy and more expensive. Some of it's very cheap. No Joann's anymore, right? That was like the home of the fleece. But you do see fleece around. They have it in other big box stores like Walmart. Find it online. And fleece is a great carrier too because it's so mushy. It's a little bit thick. It settles right down, but it would make something really puffy and lofty if it was used as a carrier. Joy, great to see you. Happy Friday from North Carolina. Welcome. And Colleen says Sheep and Wool Festival is May 2nd and 3rd. Dang it. I'm just gonna, dang it. All right. Yeah. Damn it. That's when I'm talking at the Green Mountain Guild, which I'm very happy and proud to do. I got really excited for a second there. I'll still be coming down soon, but I was really hoping to go to that festival. That's like a triple book weekend because the Green Mountain is having is it like 25th or 30th, maybe even 50th? They're having a big anniversary, and I'm the speaker, so I'm very proud to be the speaker. So that's happening actually in New Hampshire. Also that weekend, Cheryl, for you on the Cape in Harwich is the biennial cranberry rug hooking show. So I'm going to be missing that. That breaks my heart too. But there's a lot happening that weekend, and it is all good. 'Tis the season, right? Jessica says, I just learned something new, a carrier. I've hooked that way with metallic ribbon and wool underneath. Of course you figured it out. You figure everything out because you are such a capable person. So you're so confident in the way that you hook and you're so resourceful. Um, I have to say, I would have never figured that out. If someone didn't say it to me like this is something you could do, even with that degree in sewing, I don't know that my brain works that way. But yeah, that's the word for it, and I know you already know the technique. Speaking of technique, speaking of all of this, let's talk for a minute before I get going on the magazine because we do have a great show ahead. I want to talk about a couple of things that appeared on the Facebook group. If you're in the Facebook group, Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club today. One of them was I put out a big post that I didn't mean to do. Well, I did mean to do it, but I didn't know that I was going to do it because time has been a real thing. But I have been thinking about Magpie Times. This issue is stellar. I'm looking forward to many stellar issues in the future, but I am also aware that I'm kind of bumping along. I wouldn't say on fumes. It's just I always have plenty of ideas, but time is a huge thing for me. So I needed to give some kind of a formal shout out to get some more content and to let people know that they are not only welcome to submit stuff to Magpie Time magazine, whether it's gallery items, right? Seasonal gallery items for the gallery section, or whether it's full-length feature articles, interviews, other stuff. I want everybody to know they are not just welcome, but they are highly encouraged because Magpie Times is not a magazine with advertising. We allow people to provide content to advertise, but we're not making money on this magazine because there's no advertising in it, and it's a lot of time. So I think sometimes people hesitate to send something in because they think, is it going to be good enough? Or will they accept it? One of 100 ways to talk yourself out of something. But at the end of the day, this is a project for all of us, and I want as many people contributing as want to and as is possible. And it makes the magazine all the more rich for all the different voices and the different kinds of projects. So we had sort of an informal, the first of what I hope will be many brainstorming Zoom calls, maybe on like Monday or Tuesday this week, where a bunch of us logged on and came up with a bunch of ideas. It was very useful for me to brainstorm and kind of think through what could be some regular features. I'd like more regular features. What could be some things that are missing, articles that we'd like to see right now. Um, Carrier fabrics can be found in thrift stores. Kirsten, that's a great point. Carrier fabrics can also be sweaters and clothing, right? Extra, 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 extra large, extra, extra, extra. Because why not? Cost the same at Goodwill, whether you buy a sweater that's an extra small or like a 5X, right? My throat is closing up. Did I have anything I'm allergic to? I don't think so. Could be the fire. In any case, we had this great meeting and it was very useful. And so I put the shout out in our Facebook group this morning, just because I think sometimes I fall into this category as well. I think sometimes if someone says to me like, like when I got my first book thing and then I did another one with rug hooking, it's kind of like, you want to do a book for us? Okay, you start working on it. And it's very hard to start that way because it's like, well, I know I've got some ideas, but for Christ's sake, give me some clues, right? Help me out here. So I feel like it's like that for other people too, right? That it's sometimes easier if I were to say like, you know what I need? This is what I need. Does that resonate? Like, is there something there? So that's what I did today. I spent a chunk of the morning putting together guidelines and I posted it in the Facebook group. So just so you know, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I just put a shout out ongoing, right? Ongoing because we're looking for content for the summer issue, like mid-April. If you're a bit later, let me know because we can hold, but we want to make sure that we have like the pages held for you. Um, and then every 3 months, right? Because this is a quarterly, we're looking to sort of gather and close all the material for the next one. So July, September, October. No, wait a minute. No, no, no. April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Yeah, that is how it goes. So I put out a bunch of ideas like, do you have any ideas for projects where you're using your too thick wool? Kind of the opposite of Lachelle's question, right? When you have too thick wool and you got seduced by a beautiful blanket with a satin trim, those from a thrift store, the satin trim is always like this beautiful jewel color. You brought it home and you realized you really couldn't hook with it without giving yourself instant arthritis. What do you do with that fabric, right? You bought an army blanket, stuff like this, and you're like, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to happen. Did you figure out something else to do with it? Because that would be a great thing. We all do that. That would be a great thing to be able to learn, right? What else? What are other people doing with their too thick stuff? Finishing. Did you come up with a cool way to finish something? I'm noticing all this stuff that's framed with driftwood lately and in shadow boxes, right? We've had Ursula showed us the frame with all of the cutouts, right? Lots of cool ways to finish stuff. Always looking everybody is always looking for finishing ideas, scrap buster ideas. Whether you're doing hit or miss projects or you're like, you know what, I started making these funky mittens out of my scraps, or I started making, I don't know, hats or decorating sweaters or jean jackets or whatever. Did you figure out something fun to do with your scraps, right? Because some people keep all their leftover noodles or yarn or whatever from a project, and other people are like, I know I'm going to have that in the closet for, the next 3 decades. So maybe you figured out something else you might do with it. Let's go without stepping on Atha's toes, right? Without stepping on Atha's toes, because not all guilds are Atha. We've got also promo gown guilds, and we've got independent groups of buddies who meet. I know a group that meets upstairs at a Stop and Shop or at the library or whatever. Within your group, whatever it is, have there been interesting challenges, or have you gone to some kind of textile exhibit recently? Did you take some photos? Could that be something that you could share? History focus. In every issue, I would like to have a history feature that features like a house or, a historical property that has textiles, whether the textiles are rugs or bed rugs or quilts or samplers or something. Historic homes that are open to the public. Some of them are only open once a month or something like that. Historical societies. Do you have a historical place near you, like a, not for profit house, whatever, that has the interesting textiles that you could go in and take photos of, maybe write a little something about the history of that house, bring people, that'll draw attention to it too. That's great advertising for these little historical places that kind of limp along. So be thinking about that too. There's a whole bunch of ideas. I won't hit them all. Interviews, interviewing rug hookers who you know for whatever reason. Ask them interview questions, write them down. We need that. Submit some photos. That's a great article. We all like these sort of getting to know you things. Doing some cool stuff with dyeing. I gave a talk last night to a guild in, I think, Virginia. It was over Zoom. And they were mostly weavers and felters, and a lot of them did stuff with dyeing. And so we got a little into a little sub talk about ice dyeing. Do you do anything like that? Dyeing, I know Karen, you're doing one for the upcoming. If you do interesting stuff with dyeing, that's a great article, right? We all do different stuff. Don't think, well, they already know that. Well, maybe we know that, but maybe not. Maybe we don't know it at all. Maybe we want to be reminded. I think there's something coming up our driveway. There's something down at the bottom of the hill anyway. Armchair traveler, are you somewhere else? Right? Because a lot of us are in the US. And are you somewhere far away, right? Do you want, is there anything going around in the fiber arts in your country, in your locale? Are you meeting up with buddies? Did you see something cool? You making something new? We always like that. So check out this thread if you can. And I put, write to me at Ribbon. Don't write ideas in the thread because, the whole point is for them to be exciting when they come out in Magpie Times. But send me an email to ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com or write to me on Facebook. You can also send me a Facebook message and, bounce something off of me. It's probably a yes, really, unless we're doing something exactly like it. Think about it, right? There's no rush. Think about it. Think about what you might have. Think about what's around you, stores and interesting things. If you're a rug hooker and you find things around you that you like, I bet we're going to like it too. So think about it in those terms. It doesn't have to be the most or the best, but if it's interesting to you, it's going to be interesting to us. And we would love to have it in the magazine. Another thing I want to tell you about before we get going with the magazine, there's so many projects going on always at Ribbon Candy Hooking, right? There's books coming out this year. I've got the Rose book almost ready to print. The Spill in the Tea book will be coming out later in the summer that celebrates the first 250 years of, not so much that, I phrased that wrong. It celebrates 250 years ago, the Revolutionary and colonial period, while we were becoming a country. It celebrates the 250th, not the time in between, right? That specific period. So a lot of historic patterns. That's coming out this year. There's a possibility that the Mystic Carpet comes out this year, the Halloween book. We'll see how it goes. But you know that I'm working on writing and printing projects with other people under the Ribbon Candy Library label. And one of those people, as you probably know or suspected, is Kirsten. Kirsten has been working on an amazing project that I want to describe to you now for the first time because you will be hearing about it a lot. This is Kirsten's baby, and this is something that Ribbon Candy Library, did I call it library? Bookshelf will print, and it will be coming out this year. And it is a brilliant idea, Kirsten. My hat is off to you. This is a fantastic idea. Kirsten, backstory. Kirsten has her Tuesday and Thursday Zooms that she runs. So this is something that if you're interested in it, you might want to log in Tuesday, 11 to 1, and get more information on it. But Kirsten has a great group of buddies who log on for either or both of these weekly Zooms. And and they talk about projects and things in common. And one of the people who is sometimes on there or Kirsten connects with is Betty Ann Cormier, who of course is the queen of Cheticamp. And so the idea, Kirsten's idea, her book project that I think is absolutely brilliant, is she is working with Betty Ann, right, on a series of sort of modern Cheticamp images that Kirsten designs Betty Ann is so excited about this project that she is working on a show part of it, right? Earlier, I won't get into that because that's kind of Betty Ann's thing and Kirsten's thing. But Betty Ann is very, very excited about it. She's already got some of her girls in Canada hooking some of these Chetty Camp designs. They're smaller, right? These are all smaller designs. But Chetty Camp is a specific thing. And if you watch the show, you already know that. Chetty Camp is a region, but it's also a style. It's got a lot of historic lore. And you could Chetty Camp is done with like one ply yarn, 100% wool yarn, and this tiny itty bitty hook that looks like a little baby dollhouse hook, right? But it is a rug hook, same as any, but it's small. It pulls up small bits of yarn, and you're hooking into a small pattern, and it almost looks like a typewriter, like Grenfell, like right across, right? Very neat and tidy, tidy little hooks. Now, you probably remember me saying that Betty Ann is having her second annual fall Chetty Camp class, charm, C period, H period, A period, R period, M period, E period. Last year, Karen Garby can tell you it was absolutely amazing. Maybe other people in the thread went to it. Immersed in the Chetty Camp culture, learned to hook in the Chetty Camp style because it is specific. It's not like, well, if I hook something small, that's kind of like Chetty Camp, not Chetty Camp. If I hook something small with my regular rug hook, that's Chetty Camp, not Chetty Camp, right? Chetty Camp is like the perfect storm of technique. So Chetty Camp is in a specific backing, which is tighter than traditional rug hooking backing because it's smaller, and the yarn that you're hooking with is one ply, so it's much thinner. Again, these are smaller pieces, right? These are not epic tapestries, and the hook is different. All of the stars have to align. All of these things for it to truly be Chetty Camp, right? In a historic sense, all of these things have to be in place, and that's how you hook Chetty Camp style. So Kirsten's been working on some sort of contemporary Chetty Camp designs, but in the same vein, like views and animals that we have traditionally seen in as motifs in old Chetty Camp pieces. And as I say, Betty Ann is very excited about this, and she's already got quite a few people started on the project. There's a lot more pieces that need to be done. So Kirsten, myself, and Betty Ann have been talking about this in terms of getting it together and keeping it on a timeline for this year. Betty Ann will be teaching. I'm not ready with the details yet, but she will be teaching via Zoom through ribbon candy hooking for people who want to learn Chetty Camp. If you think that you are, and she says she's going to give us a great deal on the class, I am going to import the little hooks, so everybody's got the little hooks, and I will be dyeing a line of one ply yarn that is Chetty Camp yarn in a huge color palette that Kirsten gives me, the colors that go with the pattern. So Kirsten is designing patterns for this book. She designs the color palette for each one, right? Sort of paint by number. These are, some of them are more complicated than others, but you know where the color is meant to go. True Chetty Camp, right? And a little hook, and all of it will come together with Zoom classes. Maybe you don't need the Zoom classes, but we want to create a new collection of modern Chetty Camp hooked by people all over the world, in the US, in Canada, anyone who wants to participate in this project. The patterns will be offered. Kirsten is talking about this project and getting people going on some designs in these Zooms, right? Tuesday and Thursday Zooms. I will be first showing them and talking about them to Patreon members. Thank you, Patreon members, for supporting this brand. But we are getting the word out there, sort of piecemeal, about this project. It is going to be a wonderful, colorful project. Betty Ann is the sort of cheerleader. She's writing a foreword for it and putting the endorsement stamp on this book saying, this is Chetty Camp. This is the history of Chetty Camp. This is what it looks like. Let's keep it alive. It's a beautiful, vibrant project. It's going to be a lot of fun to participate in it. Kirsten, I'm certainly going to make one of the patterns myself. So if you have any interest in learning a different style of rug hooking, watch this space or get in touch with me or Betty Ann Cormier or Kirsten, and let's get this project going, right? We'll need lots of hands to hold those tiny little hooks. And what a gift it will be to learn how to hook Chetty Camp style. It means so much to Betty Ann. She is like Chetty Camp royalty. It means so much to her to know that this style, that this history will not be lost, that it will be continued, right? Because everything is up for grabs these days. That leads me to another quick conversation, something else that I want to address that happened in our Facebook group today, just briefly. But remember the Chetty Camp thing because there's more of that coming at you, and it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. So jump on if you're interested. Kirsten has got lots of different patterns, and they are all extraordinary. I'm very excited about this project. One more quick note before we move on to Magpie Times. I was very busy this afternoon picking the kids up from school, and then I came back quickly and packed Teddy's bag, and then I brought him over to my mom's house, and I sat there for a minute. And while all this was happening, there was a post that popped up in our Facebook group that was a little bit inflammatory. And I just want to address it really, really fast because my hope was to come back and kind of put out the fire a little bit, but I was driving and I did not have time. As soon as I got back, the first thing I was going to do when I walked through the door was address this post. And by the time I got back, the post had been taken down, probably by the author. Now, it wasn't that it was the most inflammatory post, but I feel I have to say this, right? I feel I owe it to myself to say this. The post, first of all, there was a lot of, I didn't think any of the responses were inappropriate. I thought they were all very friendly and helpful, but there was a lot of disagreement within the post. The post basically said, and to be honest, I read it at a stoplight. Sorry, just kind of afternoon it was, and not while I was driving. I promise. Um, Jocelyn, my daughter, thought that it was a selling post, and I'm not sure that it was. But in any case, it was at least this. Hey, everybody. And this was, of course, in Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club by Ribbon Candy Hooking. So this is like the brand, right? Hey, everybody. I figured out a way to create patterns using AI. This is how you do it. And isn't this cool? So the reason I allowed the post to hit the wall in the first place was because I knew it was inevitable. And I want to preface what I'm going to say next by saying we don't crucify people on that page. We don't crucify people in Rug Cooking and Punch Needle Club, particularly when they're being sincere and they think they're being forthcoming and helpful with a great new tip that'll help everybody. So this is very shaky ground, as you can imagine. And all I can say is, while I think that AI is great for some things, right? Doing creative work with AI, in my opinion, is not great. And only part of it is because it is awful for the environment. There's no two ways about it. It's not like I see it differently. It is terrible for the environment, right? It's a very short-sighted toy to be playing with. Besides that, I totally get why people want to make designs with AI. I completely get it. I do design classes, right? I know that most people, myself sometimes included, feel like sometimes I don't feel like a great artist, right? Sometimes I feel like I'm on fire, and other times I feel like I'm garbage for like a year at a time. And it is tempting to use AI and to just say to your phone, "Hey, can you make me a sheep with a patchwork sky and I don't know buttercups in the grass? No, change that to tulips, right?" And it makes something beautiful, and you're like, "Ta-da! I did it." It is amazing and it is tempting. And believe me, I sincerely understand why it's tempting and compelling and how that is so exciting for people who don't feel that they are great artists and would like to do original patterns that they have in mind. I get it. Having said that, the part of the conversation I want to respond to are the comments that said things like that, the things that were along the lines of, well, AI doesn't hurt anybody, so who cares? That's what I want to respond to because I have to say AI does hurt people. It certainly does. And this is not subjective. This is how it works. AI calls images that already exist online, images of things that I drew, that Haley drew, that Colleen drew, pictures that we drew online. I'm not talking about copyright free stuff. I'm talking about any visual image that's online. That's what AI is pulling from yours, mine, and everybody's. And it culls all of the information that it has, your drawings and my drawings, and it makes them into this new image. So it's not hurting anybody, it is stealing from people who have visual images up online. I would say it is also hurting people like me who are designers, who went to college 4 times and paid for it and are still paying student loans to become an artist at college and who work as a designer now, right? As you can imagine, if everyone starts using these because they're fun and funky and isn't it new and isn't it cool, everybody who does creative work, including me, including your children, your grandchildren, your great grandchildren, who are destined to be artists because that's what's in their hearts, there is not going to be a job for them in the future. So when people say AI doesn't hurt anybody, that's incorrect. I'm not saying that I don't understand why you want to use it. I get it. I get it. And in many situations, Jocelyn, my daughter, disagrees with me. She's full stop against it always. I think it's great for medicine. I think it's great for problem solving. I think it's great for a lot of things. But don't think that it doesn't hurt people, because it does. And if you feel like that it's the only tool that you have, or it's the best tool that you have to do your creative work, then personally, I feel that you should use it. But I don't want us to start normalizing images that we're seeing on social media platforms of work that is done in AI. I don't want to normalize that, because ribbon candy hooking will fold overnight, and so will a bunch of art schools. And not, that's enough on that subject, but that's how it works. And I didn't know that until my 12-year-old explained that to me. And she made me take down my screensaver on my phone and all of the stuff that was AI that I didn't know that I was using and had bought. So I'm passing that on to you, because if things like this, okay, I'm getting hot now. If things like this appear in Facebook groups, whether there are group, right, Rug Cooking and Punch Needle Club, or there are other groups, don't be surprised if people get upset, because people are feeling very strongly about this. It's not tree huggers, it's not hippies that are like, oh, the water, the water. People feel very strongly about this for lots of different reasons. So while I hope that we can all be sensitive about people who want to use these tools as tools to do creative work, I hope that people who are excited about using the tools are also thoughtful about not normalizing them, and promoting them as if it is something that is as good as a person who is an artist and does this with their life and with their heart, right? Robots don't have hearts. So, all right, let's see. Enough on that subject. Um, uh, okay, wait a minute. Juju Needle. I wrote this down. I wrote this down. I forgot my chalkboard, but I wrote this down. I'm going to call you all instead of by your handles. I'm going to get this right. Remember how upset I was with my, and these are all blank pages. I wrote this down last week on our gallery stuff. I am so sorry. If I catch them again, I'm going to write them down again on my Santa pad, because obviously that's forever. Santa pad is forever. All right, so let me catch up here. Yay, more Kirsten designs. I'll be watching Patreon. Yeah, these are stunners. Karen says a walk through a garden or a trip to an art museum can be a better way to get creative inspiration and a lot more fun in general. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. And I know Jocelyn responded to the AI thread in the car, because her big thing is, and if she comes to us, I'll ask her again. There's a lot of ways to manipulate photos and really bad drawings and make them into something beautiful without using AI. And she can rattle off about 20 programs that she uses on her phone that are not AI, that she makes extraordinary drawings with. So there are options, right? There are options that nobody can object to. Saw that post. Okay, and it was a selling post too. Okay, that's what she said, and that makes me twice as mad, because that's like my brand page, and it's like on my brand page, I'm stopping. On my brand page, someone is posting something that is saying, instead of buying stuff from designers, why don't you buy this from me or make it yourself? Okay, I'm glad it's gone. Don't get me started. If stuff like that pops up, feel free to email me or write to me on my Facebook to let me know, because I'm the one that approved that, because I just saw AI and I thought, let's just see what happens and then I'll moderate it. But I missed the selling part. So if you rather than reporting a post, reporting post scares me, because if there's a lot of reported posts, sometimes the page could get in trouble for that. But if you want to write to me personally, I always have my phone in my hand for 100 different reasons. And just say, oh, something's up. Can you check right now? I will be there. You could also always call me, right? All right. Well, anyway, let's move on. That's what happened today. And again, nobody gets crucified on our page, right? We just try to sort things out and work together, and make things right between us. And I want to see every single person who's on that page or involved in this brand. I want to see every single person who wants to be creative and wants to get out all of the great ideas that are inside of you. I want you to figure out how to get those out. And if it's by using a program like that, then okay. I'm not going to judge you because of that. I just don't want to promote it. And I certainly don't want to promote it on my page. So, in other news, Magpie Times, this issue is just amazing. And that is in huge part to you, Jessica Troyer, who hooked the cover of this. I still have the rug behind me on the bookshelf there because Kirsten, I do plan to come visit you in the very near future. And Jessica said I could have it for a short while more so I could drive it up there and we could visit with each other and I can show it to you in person because Jessica hooked it. Kirsten and Karen designed it. So this is an exceptional cover. Remember when we were sitting around talking about what should we do with the we had already decided together, let's make like a tea party and baby animals. What were we thinking, right? Issue. And and then I thought, okay, so how what's that going to look like? You know, what it sounded like such a great idea when we were brainstorming. And then it was like, oh, what's that going to look like? And Kirsten came up, and Karen, with the drawing for this, right? And I'll just flash it to you briefly while we're on the cover. I'm going to show you the feature later. And as soon as this pattern came out, this is a crazy behind the scenes story. This is the color version right here. As soon as the pattern came out, I said to Kirsten and Karen, whoa, this is a great pattern, but wow, it's really busy. And then we started thinking, who is going to hook this? Who is going to be able to hook this? Because um, I wouldn't trust myself to do this kind of a job with this cover. And I have to say, Jessica, I'm going to sing your praises for a while. And we can't see you blush, but as soon as I saw the drawing and sat with it for like 5 minutes, I thought, Jessica has to do this piece because thinking of all of the pieces that she's been showing us on Cocktail Times, Coffee Time, sharing in the group, and thinking, wow, Jessica's getting so skilled at learning new techniques, trying new things, so experimental, so bold. And I thought, with a cover like this that has a lot of detail in it, she has got to be the right person to do it. And luckily, she took it on with a lot of excitement. Um, and she did this. I mean, seriously, like it's just so fantastic and exciting. I got to show you. I got to hold up the piece one more time because it's right behind me. Hold on. It is dark. It's dark in here, but still, let's look at it together. Hey, if you're wondering whether I have my sweater tucked into my sweatpants, yeah, I do. I do. Here, let me show you this. It's got to be comfy times, right? I mean, for God's sake, we've got to be comfortable. Now, look at this. And I did a video of this. There's lots of close-ups of this in Magpie Times because there are so many. Got my glasses on. I can't tell if it's coming in focus. So many techniques in here. So much three-dimensional fun. So many stitches. Ariane, can I give this to you to fold up properly? Thank you. So all of that information, all of the, I look like such a fool. I look like such an old lady with my sweater tucked into my sweat. I'm not going to go out like this. Don't worry. I won't shame everyone. Yeah, I mean, so many great techniques. Let's go to that article first, since that is the cover piece. So the article, this is an installment of Pitter Pat Press, and this is one of the regular features that we have seen since the beginning of Magpie Times magazine. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Kirsten. I always love the current installment of Pitter Pat Press. This one is about anthropomorph. You know how much I struggle with this word, anthropomorphism, which is animals dressed up in clothing, and as a design tool for bringing in younger generations, right? So super clever and appealing, and it brings me in too, right? I love to see an animal dressed up. So some beautiful designing here and some references to some of the past Pitter Pat presses, a reference to a design that my daughter Jocelyn did years ago, 2021 Halloween cat parade. There's a couple other, wait a minute, let me come over to tonight. There's one in here, two in here that I really love. Let me see if I can find them quickly. Well, this is one of the pages, you know, showing detail of the llama because this whole article is filled with detail. You see the sort of applique that Jessica's done with a piece of material. You see the shading. You're seeing all the techniques as you go through this article. It is super well illustrated. I love this here. This is, oh, I forgot that the page did this. Hold on. This is down at the bottom. Bebop dressed up in a red sweater, and up on top Linda, that is your baby, isn't it? Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me get the name. We cannot leave this unattributed. Um, oh, Lily. That's Lily up top, modeling a holiday jacket, and Bebop down below, sporting a red sweater. So this article is fantastic because we were talking about, is Magpie Times sometimes a technical magazine? Sometimes it is a technical magazine. It's not always. And if you're thinking of submitting stuff, it doesn't have to be technical. There's a lot of technical information in this article. It's not hands, right? It's not pictures of hands, but it's close-ups of stuff, like materials, right? Like lots of materials and stuff like this, where you can see down below here the kind of fiber that is used, right? You see the llama fur, the curls off to the side. You see there, it's a huge piece, and there's so many different kinds of fibers in here. So super colorful article showing you these sort of velvet flowers, right? Those are like, can you see those with the bead in the middle? Walking you through all of the techniques that are in that rug. So that is like a just lushly illustrated article that, while it's not hand showing how to, you're going to look at it and you're going to go, oh, interesting. That's a really cool thing to hook with. And that's how it comes out. Because this front cover really functions as a sampler. It is a beautiful storytelling piece. And that's that ribbony stuff in the background with the bushes, right? It is an incredible storytelling piece with like height differences and clipping and lots of different materials. So that's a whole conversation that happens in here. If you look at this and you think, I really couldn't do that. How would I ever figure that out? There's a lot of information in here to help you do the techniques that you're seeing on the cover. So cover feature was absolutely incredible, just gorgeous. And I'm just going to kind of flip through it. And as we go, let me do it chronologically because I have a feeling I put the slides in the wrong order, right? Um, okay, let me show this. I did, I think I did 3 patterns for this one that were sort of Easter type patterns. And let me see if I can find this one. This one. Oh, that's not the one I was going for, but this one works too. I submitted 3 patterns, as I said, that were Eastery, and Judy Taylor, my partner, hooked them. So I mean, she did such a nice job too. I wasn't expecting her to, but I really appreciated that she was able to. So this is one of them. I'm looking for it in the magazine. Um, because I'm wondering what she hooked it with. Let's see. Hooked with cotton strips. Let me make it a little bit bigger. That's just what I was thinking. I just really liked this pattern. It's a cat, anthropomorphic again, right? It's a cat wearing a sun hat and with flowers above and kind of flowers coming up and little flavor of Maud Lewis, little flavor, but kind of a different style. Cat, colorful hat, right? And with cotton, right? So Lachelle was saying earlier, can you hook with regular fabric? Sure, you can. This is hooked in cotton, right? So that is a piece I really loved. She did. Is this it? Wait a minute. Sorry. Hold on one second. Ooh, I'm doing some stuff here. Let me see. Now hang on, I got this. Judy spinning, image, my pattern. Yep, this is it. All right, let me unlock this. So this is another one. So these are 2 of the 3. This is like a bunny. I just love the effect of the cotton. It's so different, right? It's very like scrubby kind of cotton strips here too. Bunny in the garden, and he's sitting on a bunch of carrots that are about to come up. So he's sitting in the right place. I just sketched this. I loved the shape of him. I love the idea of stuff above him and stuff below him, like his place, his little place in the world, right? He's got an important place in the world. But I thought this is a sort of fun pattern for this time of year. And it still has that sort of flavor of like, the bare trees in the winter and all that. But just a little bit of an Easter kick to it too, right? I know, Kirsten, I love the hat on that other piece that Judy hooked, the multicolor hat. And it made me think, wait, let me see if I can find that again. It made me think, I wonder if she's used like Madras or something like that. I always wonder, when we're talking about the hat with the cat here. I always wonder when I see plaids I like in thrift stores and things, like, you see old Talbot's jackets and they're like plaid, India plaids, like cottons and stuff, lightweight, and the Madras, which tends to be a slightly different texture, a little bit smoother, and more like pinky electric colors. And I always wonder, I wonder how those materials would hook up. Thinking this hat is how those materials hook up. And blouses and things like that, think about it. Don't throw your cotton away. Think about how you might use regular cotton clothing and stuff like that too. Not just t-shirts and sweaters, but regular clothing. It hooks up very different, but such a lot of fun. Now, I wouldn't put things that were hooked in cotton like that onto the floor because cotton is just not as durable, right? How many pairs of pants have you had in your life that the knees ripped, right? So the first time you fell in them, or the knees rip right across, right? Cotton is not as strong as wool, so with cotton, I don't know that I would want to put that on the floor. But if you're making stuff for the wall, which I think most of us are, why not use cotton, right? Jessica said of the cover piece, it turned out to be one of your favorites. Jessica, you have so many family pieces that are like dear to your heart that really is saying something because most of your pieces have, if not all, sentimental value. So the fact that this one is precious to you says a lot about this piece. So I'm not going to show you the whole magazine, just the same as with Raw Cooking Magazine and AFA and all of the magazines we looked at. I just want to remind you that at the beginning of each magazine, there's always the table of contents here. I'm going to show you table of contents and a little welcome page. Did I do this one? No, Judy did that one. Um, talking about the flood, poor Judy. Let's see. Let me come back over here. Every issue, I do a design that is a pattern that's in the book, and Mandy Cornish in Canada hooks it. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger too. And it's always the size, it's always the same size, pattern is always the same. Remember, these are photos of photos. So, and so this one is like the magpies at a tea party, and there's flowers growing out of teapots, and there's a garland of tea bags hanging above. And this time, Magpie has a cute hat on with some like feathery, quilly things on them. And it's just fun to see in each table of contents how Mandy has hooked the latest magpie sort of yard long, right? These are long, skinny pieces. Oh, Gail, good to see you. Oh, no, it's great to see you anytime. These pieces, I keep saying to myself, because we have stairs in our new house here going down to the basement. I've said from the beginning, Mandy's hooking all of these because time-wise, there's no way I could do it. And I wish that I could. And maybe someday I can. Because I always say these would make great stair risers, right? Or treads, but stair risers. And it's funny because they're all magpies, so they have that in common. We're going to have more than, well, what number are we on now? We're in our third year. So we are 8, 9. We're heading into the 10th issue. Most people have 12 or 13 steps. Some have 11. Some have splits, right? So that's a little bit different. But it's not going to be long before we have more than enough. I think if you wait a couple years and you want some magpie risers, these are going to be a great shape for those. But always look out for that. It falls at the table of contents, which is sort of a high traffic area, and it's easy to miss it. But Mandy always does a really beautiful job with that piece, and it is always a pattern that's in the magazine as well. Judy put in a beautiful poem by William Wordsworth. It's called Song of the Spinning Wheel. Let's read that. I know I know all of his poems, but I haven't read it lately. I'll read it in just a second. It accompanies an article that Judy did called Wool Gathering. And this is an absolutely beautiful article where she features her collection of spinning wheels. And the poem she put in goes like this, and this is Wordsworth again. Swiftly turn the murmuring wool. Sorry, that was a Freudian. Swiftly turn the murmuring wheel. Night has brought the welcome hour, when the weary fingers feel help as if from fairy powers. Dewy night overshades the ground. Turn the swift wheel round and round. Now, beneath the starry sky, couch the wildly scattered sheep. Ply the pleasant labor, ply, for the spindle, while they sleep, runs with speed more smooth and fine, gathering up a trustier line. Short-lived likings may be bred by a glance from fickle eyes, but true love is like the thread which the kindly wool supplies. When the flocks are all at rest, sleeping on the mountain's breast. Oh, that is so nice. That gives you such a visual. Someone sitting at night when everything's done and everything's quiet and sneaking in some time, spinning at the spinning wheel. How do you order the magazine, Lachelle? It is, I still have some copies of this one at Ribbon Candy Hooking, and they are also, depending on where you are, they are also on Amazon. So, and the reason they're there is obviously to be ordered. But if you are like in Canada or in Europe, Gail is in Australia, you would want to order it from your local one so the shipping doesn't cost 3 times more than the magazine. So they're on Amazon, but I have copies also at the Ribbon Candy Hooking store, ribboncandyhooking.com. So Judy put in a beautiful article about her spinning, right? Remember, she keeps animals. She was a spinner first. She makes her own yarn. Years ago, she wrote that sort of the um, canon kind of book about hooking with yarn that was published before Ampry Press. It was when Rug Hooking Magazine was using somebody before Ampry Press, and now like nobody has the rights to that book. It's very hard to find. Hooking with Wool by Judy Taylor. And when you find it, it's insanely expensive. So if you have it, hold on to it. You're very lucky to have it. But she's always been a great spinner, and she hooks with yarn more than anything. And most often, she hooks with yarn. So let me show you. I did not know. I bet some of you knew. Look at the spinning wheel. Like, are you serious? I did not know that spinning wheels could look like this. I'm thinking of like, I don't know, Rumpelstiltskin or something. I'm thinking they're brown and they're clunky and they look dirty all the time. I mean, this is absolutely gorgeous. This painted spinning wheel. It's dated 1990. It's got all this Penn Dutch symbolism. She's got a close up of a couple of painted sheep, like a fracture style thing that would have been on like a dowry chest on the seat of it. Absolutely beautiful. This whole article is beautiful. This is another one of hers that is that darker wood, but can you see it's painted with little sheep and flowers? I mean, I so far I'm not a spinner, but I gotta say, had I but known that spinning wheels could look like this, I think I would have begun being a spinner long ago. And she's got not just spinning wheels, but she's got lots of swifts in this article. Swifts are, and if you wind your own yarn, you know this. This is a swift, right? And sometimes they're ones you hold in your hand, right? And you kind of loop them like a figure eight, but others are standing ones. Sometimes they're positioned differently, not like a Ferris wheel, but like four sticks sticking up and they go around this way instead of this way. There's lots of different kinds of swifts. I do have a collection of swifts, but not of spinning wheels. And that's a don't get me started because the ones that she's showing us here are so charming. I get it. I'm getting it. I always used to think, what do you need to fool around with the animals and the spinning for when you can just, you can buy the yarn or dye the yarn. I'm starting to get it. Karen says, Lachelle, extra bonus if you order from Deanna. Yeah, the issues from me are signed. Not, I'm not a famous person, that is for sure. But I always sign the issues that I have with a little note. Thanks, Karen. That's so sweet. So there's another, I don't want to show you every feature, but there's a beautiful feature. I'll flash it to you. Da, da, da. Look at that lighthouse. Lighthouse at Sunset by Jean M. Bruce of Fort Pierce, Florida. Beautiful article. I think she's hooking with yarn here. What a gorgeous piece. This piece is by Christine Little of Encompassing Designs. Absolutely beautiful, hooked by Jean Bruce. Beautiful piece in a lovely article that goes along with it. And Colleen, your piece comes right after that. Let me come back over here. Colleen, you put a gorgeous article in here too. I'm going to just start at the beginning of it. I won't read the whole thing and do a spoiler alert. This piece here, let me make this a little bit larger again. And this is Framed Bunny, designed and hooked by Colleen Tiefanthal. And of course, Colleen's brand is BeachNut Studio. Beautiful brand, lots of great nautical stuff, lots of great everything stuff. Colleen, if you remember my video with Colleen, is an amazing painter as well as a brilliant hooker. And she's got this beautiful brand. So you can find her at her Etsy store, right, Colleen? You can, if you Google BeachNut Studio online, you will find her and you will find some gorgeous patterns. So this article is in, Colleen is from the town of Northeast in Maryland. And Colleen calls this article, Small Might Be Huge. And she starts it off by saying, sometimes a small project can check off several boxes. You may want to bring something with you to work on while you're traveling, and it needs to be portable. You have leftover wool that you want to use up, but you don't have much of any particular color. you don't currently have room for one more large piece, right? Maybe a small thing will fit, but not something large. You might want to give a gift to a friend that you know and you're thinking about, but you're thinking maybe something on the smaller side, right? There's so many reasons why you would want to do a smaller piece. So this piece, in terms of size, Colleen refers to as a mug rug. And yeah, anything that's that kind of computer mat size, I think we think of as mug rugs. I think the mat here, just the hooked part of this is 6 inches by 8 inches. But the finished piece inside the frame is 13 by 15. Now, I mean, Colleen, you also find in the frame, let me show it to you here because I did a bit of a crop. The frame has a beautiful wooden edge to it, right? And then the part you are seeing that I cropped is the gold on the inside. Well, wow. I mean, if you've got this frame, right, that's a really good start. And to be able to, you see these kinds of frames out there, to be able to find a frame that's as beautiful as this, a nice old thing, right, that somebody would cherish, the next owner of this beautiful frame. If you have a piece that would pop in there, that is the perfect gift, or it's the perfect way to frame this. And it's so much fanfare for a mug rug. It brings attention to a smaller piece and a piece that deserves the attention. Even though it's small, it's got all the great marks of a great hooked rug, right? It's this great primitive piece. It's got great energy to it. We're seeing lots of color change, textures, mottled colors. We're seeing a sort of prim figure of the bunny, but then this interesting landscape tree bent over it, kind of like an arbor. That has a bit of a Clarice Cliff feel, doesn't it? The way that tree is shaped around. It's just a gorgeous piece. It deserves a beautiful frame. Colleen says, it is a beautiful antique frame. I found it at a tag sale, and it was the perfect complement, color wise. So it is because, the bunny has this glow about it. It's got the kind of bronzy green feel to it, but it does have a kind of golden glow to it, right? And the frame really picks that up. And of course, the outer frame is that kind of darker mahogany color. It brings out the browns and the golds that are just in this piece, right? Really beautiful piece, Colleen. You hit it out of the park. And I think it's a great conversation about smaller pieces, right? Running out of room is a great reason to want to work on a small piece next. Needing a bit of a brain break is a great reason to work on a smaller piece. Sometimes our bigger pieces, we love them, but sometimes they just get on your last nerve after a while. You're just sick of looking at it. And maybe you're working on 5 different pieces and they're all larger pieces and they're all on your nerves. It feels so good to pick up a piece that you can finish really quickly. A smaller piece you can finish in a day. Have a movie marathon, you watch your shows. You can get something like that done in a day if you're not having a lot of interruptions. It's a great reminder, and it's encouraging and validating to think, I do have a lot of scraps, or I do have a pretty frame, or I would like to take a break and do a project that's like the ginger in between the sushi rounds, right? Like resets the palate, resets your brain. And a small piece isn't a boring piece. You can end up with a beautiful piece like Colleen's bunny and say to yourself, well, what was this called? Small might be huge. That's the perfect way to put it. So for 100 different reasons, including using up your scraps, you might want to think about doing a smaller piece. It's a very positive article. Thank you so much, Colleen. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Oh, Dave, that is first of all, uh-oh. And secondly, that is very good. That is very good. That was a terrible dad joke, but it was excellent. Excellent. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Was that you? My husband just posted a link over there. I didn't even know he was listening. You never listen. He was listening tonight. All right. That was quite good, wasn't it? All right. Oh, okay. I'm turning pages, right? That's what I'm doing next. I'm turning pages. And then we hit the article from Pitter Pat Press about Jessica Troyer's stunningly hooked cover design. And I love articles that have this much information in them, including the materials that were used, right? Because you're thinking like, I think I have that same yarn or something like it. Top tip, and I've said this before, but I haven't said it lately. If you have if you have a knitting store near you that has lots of yarns, new and old, the older ones are better for this, but a lot of yarn stores, when they only have, new yarn stores won't do this, but when they only have like one or two skeins of something left, sometimes put it in a sandwich bag and like put it on special shelves for sale because they know that knitters can't use one or two skeins. So particularly if it's like fancy fibers and stuff like that, it's such a small amount. For us, it's more than you need. So it's fun to find what stores near you. You could even maybe make some calls, sell like their new old stock, small quantities for less. And then you go in there and say, well, I'm a rug hooker. So to me, I don't care if you don't have 16 skeins of this. I'm gonna make a 1 inch square of it. So, if I can buy it for $3, I'm gonna buy it for $3, right? So that does exist, and that is fairly common, and it is fun to find fancy fibers that way. Also, of course, on Etsy, there's a lot of people selling like mix packs. I should have said this first. I should have advertised myself first. Somebody bought this week. Jane Bancroft bought this week. Um, a product I have that never sells. It's 100 of those little reusable plastic cards with 100 different fancy fibers on it. And I put a lot of yardage on each one, as much as each of those spool cards can fit. And they are plastic, but they are reusable. 100 different ones. That's a product that's in the Ribbon Candy Hooking Store. So if you're doing something with fancy fibers and you're thinking, yeah, I could use a little bit of like 100 fibers, I've got that Ribbon Candy Hooking. I don't know how much that product is, but I don't feel like it's 65, 75, something like that. Yeah, put it in the thread. I feel like it's a great product because we don't use a lot of anything, right? And it's fun to have those fancy fibers, but you don't necessarily want to spend $18 on a skein to make lips like on a cat or ears on a bunny, right? So something to think about. This next article was really interesting to me too. Judith Tompkins always puts really interesting articles into Magpie. I didn't have Judith in my email stuff, and I'm going to have to look up her email address because I wanted to write to her and say it's a overdue, beautiful content, and a thank you. I want that to be one of the thank yous. But she did this article on. I'm going to show you one of the pictures. There's more pictures. There's close-ups of this entire article. Let me show you what the project looks like. It's one of these fun three-dimensional projects, great for this time of year. Jossie keeps asking me, when are we going fishing? Oh my God. When are we going fishing? When do I have to touch worms? Let me make this a bit bigger. I forgot again that I slid them over from the program on the last. So it's like 3 rods with sticks and a string hanging from them, and there are 3 fishes that their bodies are hooked, but there's fabric that's used for the fins. Let me flash you the full article, right? Because she's showing the 3 big fishes hooked like that. Now, this is one of these instances where, as we've said before, maybe you have too many rugs. Maybe you don't feel like doing another rug. We are seeing more and more really interesting three-dimensional projects that can be done hooked that actually make sense, that don't feel like a square peg in a circle hole. Like, why are you doing this hooked? That makes no sense. This is a super fun project to do hooked. In a house like mine, where I've got like the greatest fishing lady of all time, my daughter Jocelyn, she would love something like this, right? She would have all the sticks hanging like puppets with the beautiful fish hanging from them, and the fish are super beautiful. So this article is called Mendel's Fish, and she starts it off by saying, Gregor Mendel was an Austrian scientist whose pioneer work, his life was between, oh no, his work was between 1856 and 1863. With pea plants, PEA, laid the foundation for the modern science of genetics. He is now referred to as the father of genetics. Do you know this person, Ariane?
My high school was named after it. I
Stop
went
it.
to the Mendel College.
My husband just said, my husband is a scientist. He said that he went to his high school equivalent in the Netherlands was named Mendel High School, named after this very person. How funny is that? Pea plants, modern science genetic. He is now referred to as the father of genetics, but his research was largely ignored until the 20th century. He meticulously crossbred different varieties of peas peas to eat, PEA, to study how traits were inherited. The key principles, sorry, of hereditary he discovered are now referred to as the Mendelian inheritance. Oh, that is so cool. It sounds like a Dan Brown novel, doesn't it? The Mendelian inheritance. In simple terms, he discovered that each parent contributed one piece of genetic information. I'm going to skip some of it because many of these words I don't know. You probably know them, but I don't. Think brown eyes in people. And so masked recessive traits like think blue eyes in people. Interesting. Mendel's fish attempts to illustrate how how the two traits of the male, silver metallic upper, clipped wool belly, so just choosing two variables, crossed with the female, blue, this is unbelievable, blue metallic upper, tan furred belly, produce an offspring with a more dominant metallic silver upper, but not completely, with a dominant, nearly, furred belly with a trace of clipped wool. The batik fabric fins also express some genetic recombination in color and shape. That is unreal. That is unreal. Did you hear that? That is so cool. I hadn't read that yet. That is so cool. So basically, using this principle of the Mendelian inheritance, she is creating two parent fish with certain traits, right? They're hooked this way. They have this color hooked belly. Their fins are this color, whatever, right? And they produce an offspring that would inherit the traits of the two parents, right? As genetics go. That is so interesting. It's a conversation about science. It's a beautiful three-dimensional piece that's great for spring and summer. And this is appealing, I think, to everybody, right? It's appealing to me as a female who hates fishing, but I bet it would appeal to men who like fishing as well, and probably everyone in between. That is so interesting. Yes, she's showing us the male fish and the female fish. That is absolutely fascinating. I'm going to read that again later. That is really cool. And then there's a great article by our friend Ursula. Ursula showed us the cutouts. I was wondering if we could see them in this. No, we can't. No, we can't see them in this photo. Look, she wrote an article about throwing tea parties with all of these tips for throwing tea parties because remember, tea parties is the theme. So she sent us a beautiful article about making a fascinator, getting dressed up, making the tea, taking out your best crystal vases and all your treasures, your best tea packets, right? Tea bags, and your what do you call this? Silver? I mean, silver or silver plate or what? I don't have silver. Silver plate. Who wrote the poem about the spinning gale? That was Wordsworth, William Wordsworth, Word. Well, you know how to spell Wordsworth, I'm sure. It was him. So just a how to throw a fantastic tea party, and it includes. Oh no, this is a different article. I'm getting ahead of myself. But what I was looking at in Ursula's picture, because we saw last week in cocktail night, we saw her thrift frame with all the cut out hooked landscapes of her train journey, her epic train journey across Canada. And it's on this wall, but it's not there, right? Because she's probably working on it after this picture was taken. Because I recognize that picture and that picture from the slide she sent us last week, right? The spy knows everything, right? The eyes of the spy know everything. Right in Greenwich, New York, if you're passing through, Sharon says, right in Greenwich, New York, if you're passing through, Iden, Iden at Fibersmiths. Well, what did I miss? Sharon, what did I miss? Someone was asking for something. Oh, Sharon, our little shop. Oh, Sharon, I missed it. Our little shop has a free bin. They hold open knitting, so leftover yarn gets donated. Oh, that is great to know. So that is Idle Knot Fibersmiths. I got it. I'm sorry. Idle Knot, like you're not idle. Fibersmiths. That is great to know. Sorry, I missed that, you two. And you know, I bet that's not the only store that does that, has people knit and then they just throw in their extra that they know they can't use. That's great to think about because we use so little so often, right? Well, I love this article about throwing a tea party, and it is followed by Barbara Brown's recipe called Mrs. Rosen's strawberry roll, which is going to be great with tea. Absolutely beautiful. I sent Barbara a note today because she so often puts in such great content, such thoroughly thought out, sincere, inspired content. And this issue is no different. She wrote an article, and this is Barbara Brown of Auburndale, Massachusetts. That's always a tongue twister somehow. It's called Voulez-vous toucher or tessellate avec moi? That's clever. So this is an article about creating patterns by tessellating. We talk about tessellating sometimes. Escher, the artist Escher, always comes to mind. But this is a great article where she's talking about using all different kinds of shapes and she's showing you patterns for creating rugs that have tessellations. I don't want to show all, but I think I have one of her images here. Let us see, said the blind man. Hang on. Um, ooh, where did it go? Hang on. Gosh. No, spinning wheel. Okay. Now hang on. Gosh. Um, you know what? I'm just going to show it to you this way. I'm sorry. I know I photographed it, but I must have somehow something must have happened when I put it into the slideshow. Yeah, let me just show you this page. How can this not be here? I'll just hold it up. It's the page I just showed you, right? And so this is a longer article. It's got other parts to it, but she's showing you how she draws tessellations and then makes hooked pieces with them. So you're seeing the paper pieces here, and it's just giving you ideas for repeats, like the little cat faces, or the fish, or the abstract kind of U shape, like a pipeline, right? Very, very clever. And she's sharing the ideas for the shapes, and she's showing you ways that you can repeat the pattern to create tessellations. Quilters are very familiar with tessellations, but hookers are not. So this is a really handy, practical article. Really, really nice addition. Um, I'm going to skip over some very fun stuff just so I don't give too much away. Snow on Sweetheart Mountain. Oh, this is an article that I wrote, Snow on Sweetheart Mountain. And it has the three patterns that I put into this issue. I showed you a couple of them, but I'll keep the other one as a surprise. And then last week, we looked at Lonnie from Yellowknife, Northern Territories, her article called Biological Means of Lawn Control. Remember that wind up of a story about not being able to use the sheep when she was a student, and the sheep was doing such a nice job with the lawn. Rules, so many rules in this world. Let me see. Wait a minute, Judy. Um, Judy did a couple of more than a couple of great projects in this issue. Again, ideas for three-dimensional projects that include hooking, lots of fancy fibers. This one is called Eccentricity Series, Adult Art Toy with a surprise. So these are like three-dimensional. You know how people used to have sitting around in bowls like yarn balls, right? Old yarn balls and fabric balls or even braided balls, right, of braiding that you would be saving. People in primitive decorating, like primitive style decorating, seeing bowls of fiber is really quite common and it's really like a staple look, isn't it? Well, this is a little bit different. These are like blocks that she made from merino wool and novelty yarns. And they're like toys, fun toys for adults to see and very tactile with like buttons, vintage buttons and antique jewelry and shells and buttons and beads and bells and things. Like these would be adult fidgets, right? Kids play with fidgets, something you can just hold up that's very tactile and put down, but a very cool thing to display, a very cool thing to throw into a bowl or some kind of pretty container. You've got a big piece of Roseville or something. You're like, what am I going to put in there? Something like this, something really fun on your desk. Really different project. A nice way to incorporate both hooking and using lots of your bits and bobs, right? That I know you have, like all the little buttons and one earring, right? Because you lost the other one. All of that included in this really, really fun project. So that's a whole series, like the Making Adult Toys series, things that you would want to have around to look at. And oh, that's really fun. Pick that up, right? My Sister's Keeper. This is another one I won't show you because we saw the beginning of this article happen. This is by Mary Cantu, who shared with us on a gallery night one night how she started hooking for the first time with t-shirt material into an actual feed sack with an antler. Is it an antler? I think it's a shed antler. That she kind of refined that she found in her yard. Oh no, it's not an antler. It's a piece of tree. It's a piece of tree, like some kind of hardwood, hard birch or something like that. Black willow. There it is. Black willow. So that article is in here too. We talked about that on coffee time, cocktail time. But if you missed that, that article is there because she was really encouraging us as an alternative. If you do proddy, you either do the kind that looks like it's with the needle nose pliers and you pull across, right? So you're working it from the correct side, or you do old time UK style Prati, where you're pushing it through from the back. The working side is the reverse, just like punch needle. And if you do that, the question becomes, what kind of tool is in your hand? And and a good tool is like hardwood, right? That's been refined. It's not too sharp, but also pointy enough to push fiber through. Or like a lot of people use antlers, things like that. So nice conversation about sourcing something in the yard to use as a tool for rug making. There's another beautiful article by Valerie Tillman about a backet and about hooking a backet for a jean jacket and also an accessory like a beautiful flower that's made out of sweater material. You can hook with your sweaters, but you're never going to be able to hook with the plackets, right? Like the ribbed parts where the buttons go and the cuffs. You're not going to be able to hook with those. It's too much trouble. They don't make nice loops, those kinds of patterned pieces, parts that have fisherman knit, stuff like that. But you can do fun things like make jewelry with those pieces. You can use 100% of your garment if you want to do other kinds of projects like make fun accessories. So that's what that article is about. This is another incredible article. I wonder if I feel like I lost some photos here, but we still have some photos. Okay, let me make this bigger. This is another amazing article. And thank you so much to Sarah Jane Fisher from Morris, Illinois, for doing this article for us. I've been watching Sarah Jane in the Facebook group. I'm not on a lot. I'm on as often as I can be and to get work done and get life done, right? But I have noticed that she's been doing some extraordinary stuff, not just hooking, but a lot of felting and a lot of fun stuff. So I asked her if she would submit an article, and she submitted a killer article about her felting. And this is something that's also, I'm going to come to you for a minute. This is something that's also worth mentioning if you'd like to help with future issues of Magpie Times, and you're thinking to yourself, I'd really like to help with putting stuff in. I feel like I could do an article, but I don't know what kind of questions to ask. Well, um, sorry, I got there too fast. When I was talking to Sarah, she's like, "Oh, I don't feel like I'm a writer." So I said, "Well, what if I sent you a bunch of interview questions and you just answer the questions?" And she said, "That I can do. I'm doing the same thing for the summer issue with Lucy Richard of Willie Mason Jar." So this is a good way to get content from people who are extraordinary but don't feel confident to write. So if you find yourself wanting to work on something for Rug Pie Magazine and you're like, oh, I'd love to write an article about this person, or I'd like to write an article about something that I'm working on, but I don't feel comfortable writing, think about doing something in an interview format or write to me or to Judy or to one of us and say, listen, I would love to feature my stuff in it, but I don't feel comfortable writing an article about myself. Could you send me some interview questions? I already have a list of questions that I've been compiling, and I can always send them to other people. Um, if anybody wants to write interview questions, I was saying in the Zoom call the other night, have a glass of wine, sit down and think to yourself, what would be some really fun interview questions to ask someone who does fiber arts, right? They don't have to come from me. And they don't have to come from you. They can come from all of us. If you sit down and you think of a bunch of funny questions to ask someone who does fiber arts, send them to me so I can add that to a template. So next time someone says, I would like to write an article, but I feel I'm going to have to do it interview style, not really sure what questions to ask, then I can send that person a bunch of questions and they can choose from the questions which ones they want to use for that interview, right? That's still one way to help with Magpie Times is to help with stuff like this, right? Help with templates and help with the written part of articles. So we got there in the end. Sarah Jane and I, we got this incredibly beautiful article in this fun interview, and she's answering the questions with such humor. It's just an extraordinary article. She does so much with wool. She creates a lot of three-dimensional stuff. She also is involved in hooking. This is one of her great passions, though, and you will see. I'll flip through what this article looks like. There's lots of illustration in here as we look at the questions and answers. Um, so many fun characters. I mean, this is so Beatles to me, right? This is like Strawberry Fields, not Strawberry Fields, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. It feels to me like, but anyway, just a gorgeous article, um, and such a great showcase of so many beautiful pieces that Sarah Jane has done. I absolutely love this, and her Facebook page, like her sort of handle is the name Imogen Bramble. So that's not actually her name, but Imogen Bramble is like the kind of brand name. And she sells on Etsy and she's maybe sells in other places, but you can definitely find her online by Googling her. And all of that information is, of course, in Magpie as well. She'll also find her in our group, Rug Cooking and Punch Needle Club. So if you seek her out there, you'll see her profile and her other pages, her work pages, where there's a lot of other work of hers. Um, Beautiful article. So happy to get it. And then we move into the gallery. And the gallery is a place where, and you probably know this already, if people are sending in pieces for this season, because Magpie always has a theme, you don't have to stick to the theme. It's 4 times a year, so that means we work to a season. So knowing that that's the case, if you have stuff for summer, you should send it in soon because we'd like to get stuff in by the middle of April. Send your summer pieces, and it's great to be able to, write a paragraph. You could write something like this, you could write something smaller, you could write something larger. But the gallery section features pieces that are season appropriate, right? That are like, oh, that'll be nice for late winter, early spring, right? We always need to have those pieces. It's a lot of fun when people send in gallery pieces. Judy formats them. This is another Imogen Bramble here. This one is by Teapot Rug. But this is by Judy Taylor. I should have known that. I should have known her Teapot Rug. But the gallery is always beautiful. I won't show you all of it, but you get nice close-ups of rugs. And when people send in something that tells us about the inspiration, um, the techniques, the materials, anything you want to say about it, or if you just want to say, I came up with this idea while I was sitting on a beach and blah, 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 what a day that was. I remember that one time, however you want to tell the story, you don't have to say, this is the title of the rug, this is the size, this is what the cut is. You can say, you can write a poem, you can write a haiku, you can say whatever you want, and that's the way we'll print it, right? So we like it to be the way that you want it. Whatever you want us to know about the piece, that's what you should send us, and nothing more, right? Just what you want us to know. Kirsten's got her words of love in here that are beautiful words for difficult times, that can be hooked or done in any sort of medium, positive, or sort of reaffirming messages. So that's a pattern that appears here with a bunch of patterns within it. One, two. Oh, there's like 12. There's like a dozen that you might lock onto and say, I'd like to hook that to have up on the wall or over the door or something like that, like mottos for now. Judy Taylor did another article about overdying. And this is something she's really skilled at because, of course, her yarn background and her dyeing. She is a crazy over dyer, and she shares a lot of her knowledge in this article. So you're seeing all the yarns that she hooks with and over dyes, and then pieces like this looks like almost like Bargello that she makes as kind of hit or miss pieces. I think I have a better photo for you here. Judy. It's called Judy Over Dye. That must be it. Let me make this bigger. Sorry about that. I forgot to go back in and resize. I'm still getting used to the new computer. So in this article, she's talking about using the yarn you've already got and over dyeing it and making pieces like the piece I just showed you, this piece here on the right, the crown of thorns. That is a traditional quilting pattern, crown of thorns. Absolutely gorgeous. Everything okay? But I love that she shows us all the yarns and the results of her dyeing, a box of crayons, leftovers. Um, she's using fiber that has different fiber content. So it just goes to show, and she's very specific, and she tells you just what she's doing in the dye pot to get these wild colors, right? So this is not like McGowan style dyeing. This she's over dyeing variegated, meaning multicolored skeins as well. So this is like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs dyeing. That's what she's doing. But it does create more colors than you already have. Think about it. If you were to look at one of her pictures of yarn, if you were to take that yarn, cut half of it off, right? Roll half of it, separate it by halves, take all the same colors and drop them in the dye pot, right? And they were all over dyed with a different color, for example, then when you put them together again, you have got so many colors that match, right? If you like the way they look together in the first place, you're going to love the way that they match. So all of these conversations that she's putting forward about over dyeing and rugs that she's over dyed, it's a beautiful feature. And she's showing us traditional patterns, new patterns, old patterns. She's showing us, for example, in this pattern here, very traditional pattern, she's doing a kind of mola fill in the background, very high contrast, kind of hit or miss. But in the outside, the outer field, it's pretty much the same colors as these, but over dyed a little bit darker than this, right? Otherwise, it's kind of the same. Gives an effect, right? So she's giving you all kinds of smart ideas for how you might use over dye. And even people who don't want to get involved in dyeing, you do not want to see a white skein of yarn in your life, right? You might have a lot of yarn around already, whether it's like synthetic, all acrylic, part wool, stuff from Joann's, Michael's, whatever. You'd be surprised at how much of it defies science and takes dye, right? It might not take dye the way that you think it's going to take dye, but you'd be surprised at how much stuff you have that you can over dye. That includes fabric. We've been talking about quilt fabric tonight. That includes that, right? Cotton's not going to take color as well as wool or nylon or silk or one of those fibers, but it is going to change color. So conversations about over dyeing are particularly good for people who don't want to dye stuff from scratch. You just want to take your leftovers, bang them in the pot, put some color in there, and see what comes out. So that's what that article is going to be great for. I wrote an article. Uh, oh, she's got me in Camden, Connecticut. That's a typo. So it's not Hamden, Connecticut. Oh, I see. It was Hamden, Connecticut, but now it's Collinsville. So it came out as Camden, Connecticut. Oops. I missed that when she sent me the thing. But yeah, I'm in Collinsville, Connecticut, just in case you're looking for me. A rising tide lifts all boats. So I used a couple of pages here because I'm also the president of TIGR, the International Guild of Hand Hooking Rug Artists. Um, and this is Colleen's Rising Tide piece that she did. It's a Tigger exclusive, one of our many Tigger exclusives. I used a couple of pages to talk about what the Tigger conference in 2027 is going to be like, what kind of things we're going to be doing there. It starts on Halloween night, how we're going to be celebrating with a big Halloween party, how we're going to be having, because that's next year. Like I can't think about it. I'll get really edgy, but that's next year, next fall. And it's time to start thinking about it. It's time to start planning. And I would obviously love to see all of my buddies in Newport having this time together. It's going to be wildly fun and a great destination. And it is for Tigger members, so it's a good reason to join Tigger for the free patterns, for the opportunity to go to this triennial event that has not been in the U.S. for decades, to represent the U.S., to represent the work that we do here, to represent artists. We're using mostly local people who are like, on the East Coast, right? There's so many good teachers there. This is the hornet's nest of hooking. We've got a lot of great teachers lined up, and we are signing contracts right now. So we'll be able to divulge all that soon. But this article talks a little bit about um, the structure of it, how there'll be like a book area where people will be advertising books, all kinds of rug hooking books, obviously not just mine, everybody's, and the kinds of displays we'll be having, the fact that we're having 2 Emporium days in the style of Old Newport, big shopping opportunities with tons and tons of vendors. 2 days of Emporium, right, in the true sense of the word. Remember the series Selfridges, how they always refer to it as an emporium. That kind of scale of shopping, right? So this article that I wrote, and I'm using Colleen's gorgeous hooked "A Rising Tide Lifts All Boats" to illustrate the beginning of the conversation about what kinds of things we are doing when that time comes around. Ooh, Judy put in a short piece. She's got a quote by my favorite poet, E. E. Cummings. The young are carried in a pouch by the male, the only fish with a grasping tail. That's very whimsical and nonsense, isn't it? I like it though. It's a seahorse. This article is about seahorses. Oh, how fun is this? And then she's got a project on seahorses, and I think she's punching this with yarn. That's good for this time of year, getting into that warmer weather, right? That's a fun project as well. Oh, and she's using a stencil. She's using a cutout stencil to create that pattern. She's showing you the seahorses in other ways too and saying, hey, if you can draw the stencil, right, or if you can use that stencil, you've got more than one composition going on. You can do quite a few things with that. When we get to the back, we hit all of the patterns, and it's always a lot of patterns, right? And then we get to the back. Oh, I didn't even know this was here. Magpie submission. Okay, so there's submission guidelines. Not so much like this is what you have to do next, because you know we're seasonal, right? I'll talk about that in just a minute, but you know we're seasonal. But guidelines like text documents should use like Word or Mac pages. And I'm not even going to read this because I don't even understand it, but you might understand it. PDFs or this kind of what kind of a file, right? Because sometimes people send stuff for me to proof or something, and yeah, I can't even open it like on my phone or on the computer. I sent it to someone else, right? I always get it in the hands of the right person. But maybe that helps. Maybe everybody's better than I am on the computer, but maybe that helps with like, well, how am I supposed to send it, right? So, and then she talks about guidelines and she thanks our contributors for this issue, submission deadlines. Yeah, it's very good. I like the way the end of this looks too. Yeah, really nice. She ends on a nice full color piece. And as I say, the magpies are this one is like 85 pages, and then a blank page at the end. And I think that's pretty dang good for a magazine that's full color that does not have um, advertising. So somehow we ended early. I think we can fix that. Are you going to, Lachelle says, are you going to get any more of your jar dyeing kits in? Oh, that's a great question. Ooh la la. You know what? I should do that, shouldn't I? That was a really fun project. Remember the dye? I had them in the mason jars, and it came with the colors, and we were doing sun dyeing. That was a sun dyeing class. You know what? I'll put those back in stock. Give me like a month tops, maybe not even a month. I think I'll do another sun dyeing class. Now, I will say that everybody these days dyes with mason jars. It's just one of the many ways you can dye because when you're dyeing, right, whether you're dyeing with natural dyes or with chemical dyes, the thing that you need the most is heat, right? Heat is going to seal the deal. Heat makes the color really, really permanently saturate your fabric and lock into your fabric, right? You need your dye colors to exhaust, and you need heat to make that happen. So the question becomes, well, what kind of heat? So obviously your stovetop, right? Putting stuff in the stovetop is one way. Putting things in immersion dyeing in water in a pan on the stovetop, not the pans you eat off of course. Um, yep, Kirsten can dye sun dyeing with natural dyes. Oh, I haven't done that, Kirsten, so I don't know. I'm going to leave that to the thread and see if anybody has done sun dyeing with natural dyes. I would say why not? Because I've seen people do sun transfer with natural colors and natural dyes. I've seen people cut, for example, like a lilac off a lilac shrub and put it down like on a piece of fabric and like sprinkle natural dye around it, or kind of smudge it in and then roll it or whatever to press it and put it in the sun to let the sun do the transfer. So my instinct says yes, just because I've seen that process happen, but I'm going to leave it to someone who really knows. Um, just to like for in my mind to finish that thought, you can do stuff on the stove. That's the way most people dye stuff, right? In pans on the stove. But you could also, some people dye stuff in the oven. They have got a designated like trays, like casserole trays, and they put scrunched up fiber in there. You can even do immersion, very shallow immersion in there, do hand painted stuff in the stove, right? You don't want to do that in the summer when it's really hot. You don't want to heat up the kitchen, right? That's another way you can do heat. You can do heat in the microwave. There is such a thing as dyeing your wool, your yarn, in the microwave. That I have to say is my least favorite way. I feel like it's the most sort of uncontrollable. It's a controlled experiment. You can do it the same way multiple times, but I always feel like the result is more unpredictable. And if you want unpredictable, great. I usually don't want unpredictable because I sell stuff and it has to be the same twice. But what I do like,
Several mason jars in a big pot, like a lobster pot or
yeah.
seafood. They have different.
That's true. So my husband's adding one. Let's do that one in just a second. He added a good one. Mason jars are great. And I have to say, mason jars seem almost synonymous with my buddy Lucy Richard, who we have an article coming up from her in the summer issue, because her brand is called Mason Jar Dyeing. But I just want to be very clear that I adore Lucy. And even though this is one of the ways she does dyeing, a lot of people dye with mason jars, right? It's not like the idea of using a mason jar for dyeing is unique. It's just this is her specialty. She's also in Canada. So if you're in Canada and you're thinking about doing stuff with mason jars, definitely get in touch with Lucy. She is the queen of the mason jar dyeing. But you don't want to be ordering kits with mason jars and fiber and stuff from Canada if you aren't in Canada. So to make a long story short, too late. I think I will put a kit out again like I did last time that has like citric acid and a little bit of synthropol so you can soak your fiber first. And I think what I did last time was I had the really big jars and I put like a couple of skeins, maybe 3 skeins in there and full skeins. And they came with again the synthropol, a packet of citric acid, and then the dye colors. And I had them in little screw top things, right? No envelope, screw top things, so you could control them. And like a little wooden measure spoon, a small one, so you could scoop. Maybe it was plastic, so you could scoop small amounts and experiment with it and dump on top. And I did a video that went with it, so maybe I'll just do that again. I don't know if the video is still there, but I think I'll just do that again because it wasn't an astronomical thing to put together. And I sent it out as a wrapped jar, with all of the supplies inside of it. And then you could just watch the video. It worked really well. You need the sun. And depending on, how much sun you get, what time of year it is for you or it's going to be for you, you sometimes have to leave your jar outside, like in the hot sun of the driveway, for a couple of days, really, to get it to activate until you start jiggling it around and you can see that the water in it is clear. That means your dyes have exhausted. They've completely attached to the fiber and they're not in the water anymore. The water looks like drinking water. It's not, but it looks like drinking water. It's clear. And then you're like, okay, we're good. It's all done. The process is done. And that's the way you used heat. My husband Aryan just said you could also do the thing where you have like one of those giant kind of lobster pot things, like big, 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 oval thing, deep, and you can put a bunch of mason jars right into it in water. So the big lobster thing, right, is filled with water, not to the top, because you're putting a bunch of mason jars in there, and then you put it on the stove, turn the heat on. Right. You can also do this outside if it's hot outside. Get like burners and stuff for outside if you don't want to bring heat in. And then you can activate all those mason jars quickly because they'll heat up in the water. So the fiber is in the jar in the water, and the water is on a heating source, right? In this case, it's like a burner, some kind of a burner, whether it's gas or electric. So that works really well too, and you can do lots of them at once. You could do the mason dyeing thing that way instead of sun dyeing because you would use the same materials. Whether it doesn't matter what kind of heat you're using, you still want to use some kind of accelerator like synthropol to soak your stuff, and then you want to use citric acid during the dyeing process so the color takes the best that it can take, right? I think I'm going to do that. That's a great idea. I also let me write that down. But remember, if you're in Canada, you want Lucy Richard. You don't want me. You want Lucy. Um, Mason jar. I also need to, and Lynn, if you're watching, Lynn Baxter, I am so overdue putting the multi-strand together. A few people have been asking me for the multi-strand, just coincidentally. If the video must be, I don't know, algorithm, something, something. I'm going to put that class together too. I have just got to finish the rose book so it can be sent out. I've just got a couple more days, I think, to really refine it, a week tops, really. And then I can work on all of this stuff, the multi-strand braiding, putting together the mason jars. And at that point, I know everyone who's working on the Spilling the Tea book is working on the Spilling the Tea book. And I will say that if you're just hearing about the Spilling the Tea book for the first time, it is about colonial and the revolutionary era and the settlement era. And if you're just coming new to the project, send me an email. I don't know if I have any. I probably do have some patterns that I thought I was going to get to that I'm not going to get to that I do need to have hooked. I always have that. But also, if you're coming to the project new and you're thinking, oh, I'm a super history, early American loving person, maybe I'm involved in the historical society, or I love to go to early historical houses, or you wouldn't believe the stories in my immediate like neighborhood in my town. the Revolutionary Era stories. You wouldn't believe these stories. Well, then you should get in touch with me because it might be that we need to make another pattern to accommodate your story, or maybe you want to make a pattern that fits into the theme of settlement days, early settlement days, colonial period, and Revolutionary period. We don't want to get into like the Victorian period, the middle of the 1800s. We don't want to go there. We want to stick with like early America. But you're very welcome to jump into that project as long as you think that you can be done by like the end of May, early June. Then please jump into that project because that's happening. The Rose Book is definitely closed. And now we know that Kirsten's project is about to open up, the Chetty Camp project. So be thinking about that. Certainly get in touch with me or Kirsten Gay. I would say get in touch with one of us about the project, and I will keep you updated on Betty Ann Cormier and the Chetty Camp class that she will be teaching via Zoom through ribbon candy hooking. Hope we get the sun for this. We'd like to try the dyeing. It is really fun. The thing about the mason jar dyeing is you can really get some wacky effects. Hold on one second. I'm remembering now, it was a while ago. When I put that kit together, I think it had an autumn theme. I think that's what it was. I put it together like in the high summer and it had autumn color theme. And so in the different jars, so I had a bunch of packets and you knew not packets, jars, right? I like put colors into jars and I labeled the jars and described what the jar looked like. So you knew what the colors were. Everybody got the same color. So everybody got colors like autumn colors, like reds and oranges and yellows. But also I had like weird purple. You know how purple creeps into autumn colors, like that smoky purple, like first fireplace, purple smoke in the sky. And I had a couple of oddball colors in there, a couple of browns, right? Really like kind of ochre, kind of a brown, and true brown, kind of a mahogany color too. So it was a real mix of colors. And I think what we did is people were encouraged to decide what they were making variegated skeins of yarn that they would then hook with. Right. So these are multicolored, like the ones I just showed you from Judy Taylor. So these would make great backgrounds or fills for like clothing, big fills, background feels, skies, ground, whatever, but they're going to be multicolored. So, so people would be deciding like, well, what colors do I want to put in each skein, right? Do I want to put a little bit of yellow in like all three of the skeins? Do I want to look just this one just yellow and purple, kind of like pumpkiny squash colors, like Thanksgiving-y colors? Or do I want one to just be reds and purple? So you could really choose which colors to put in, and you would put the yarn in, kind of submerge it, definitely submerge it in water, and you could kind of sprinkle in as you went. You could start it with I'm telling you how to do it, but start it with a little bit of dye in the water and then dip some of the yarn in. There's 100 different ways to do it. This is all described like in a video that I will record. But you can kind of sprinkle as you go. You can open the cap up, sprinkle a little more if you're thinking, oh, it's settling too orangey on this side. I'm going to agitate it, right? I'm going to stir it. I don't want that much orange. And then maybe you sprinkle a little more if you keep your eye on it and watch it. So you can really sort of, I hate this word, but curate the way that it's coming out by looking at it and going, ooh, okay, okay. Because it settles differently in a mason jar, unless you want to really shake it up. But if you really shake it up, they're all going to blend into one color. And then you have like a solo color, which if you end up making a skein that you think, oh, I hate it, then you can use Judy's article to over dye, right? And then it completely changes the color of the skein and every color that's in it. And you could do that with the colors that you have in the dye kit. So, for example, if you make something that's all orange and brown and you're like, I hate it. I don't know why I hate it, but I hate it. And you've got a blue or something or a brown, you just put that in there and it'll still be variegated, but it'll make a completely different set of colors. So, very forgiving method of dyeing, but not a precise method of dyeing. So, it's not for everybody. But if it's for people who are like, hey, you know what? If I don't like the way my yarn comes out, I'll just use it to knit a scarf or to crochet a scarf or whatever. So thank you for that. That's a really good idea. I completely forgot about that. It was super easy. It was super fun. You didn't need to buy anything to do this kind of dyeing. And a lot of people afterward, I remember Kaz, did a lot of cool stuff with that variegated yarn. That was fun. Thank you. That was a great thing to remind me of. Ted, is just wandering through, and he says to say hi to mom for me. Teddy's saying hi from Granby, Connecticut tonight. That is so sweet. Trying to think because I usually end on the hour, and we usually go over quite a bit. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I desperately should tell you. We have so many projects in the works right now. I hate to throw too much at you. I did put out the Clarice Cliff colors, yeah, color sets and painted canvases this week. If you're interested in those, I did 5 sets of Art Deco color palettes. They came out great. They're selling very well, so I'm super excited about that. Where's my phone? Oh, it's here. Never mind. It's here. Where's my phone? Um, so those are out there for you. 5 new color sets. And get ready for the tucked in sweater again. Here it comes. All right, hang on. Just hit myself in the face with it. And I put out these 2 designs for, there may be others, we'll see what time does, for painted backings. This is rug hooking linen, same linen as always. And this is, honey, I think Honeybee Biscuit Jar. I think that's the title of this. Clary's Cliff style pattern, my pattern, but in the style of Clary's Cliff. And I hand painted this canvas, which is, I do have a line of hand painted canvases that are called Ribbon Candy Paint Box. I don't do it often. I do it when I need to meditate with painting instead. They're a bit more colorful than they're showing up tonight under this like yellow light I've got. But this is called Happy Paths. Um, I put out, some people were saying I want it, but I don't want it, I don't want to, they don't want the colored one. Some people are very reluctant to hook into the colored one. Some people only want to hook part of it and leave part of the paint showing. Some people are like, oh, I don't want to cover it at all. I'd rather just have it regular. So I think I put out 4, no, I think I put out 5, maybe even 6 of the Clary's Cliff designs that I did as a result of that class. And there will be more because I am working on a larger project with that. So I put those out too. If you took the design like, or you need something to watch after the show, highly recommend on BritBox. I think it was BritBox. Was it Brit? No, it was Prime. It was Prime. The Color Room, color with a U. The Color Room, it is like a sort of a beautiful and very happy autobiographical story about Clarice Cliff and her rise to be art director in the 1920s, 1930s, sort of Cinderella story. Most of it is true. The main things are true, but it's a beautiful, beautiful movie, and that sort of accompanies this line of Clarice Cliff stuff that I've been working on, the new wool, the patterns, and the painted design. So all of that's there for you. One other thing I want to tell you before I log off is I settled something else this week. Forgot to tell you, and this is really important. I have been struggling again with projecting forward to um, the big get together for me this year, right? I will be in a lot of places at a lot of times. You'll see me at Sauter, you'll see me speaking and teaching, and I'm out there a lot. But the event that is always dear to me, and this will be the 3rd year that I've done it, is the Halloween party. This is a big thing with me because I love Halloween, and it'll be the 3rd time that I host a Halloween party in the Berkshires. Now, the first year we did it 2 years ago, it was at the Red Lion Inn in Stockbridge. It was insanely expensive, and I didn't understand how much it was going to cost, and I got burnt, or as my daughter would say, cooked. So I didn't want to do that again. The room was also too small for us. So last year I hosted it at this beautiful little church that had a labyrinth painted on the floor, but we had to be split between 2 floors, upstairs and downstairs. And even so, it was still too small for us. This is a real Three Bears story here. It was still too small. So, so I've been looking for another place, still in the Berkshires, because I think now we're used to going out there. Some of you like to visit the Norman Rockwell Museum every year. I know I do. Visit the Main Street of Stockbridge, do all the shopping in the country store and the general store, and all go to Lenox, right? All of those fun, tiny little New England villages with the best foliage in this part of the country. I think it's the best foliage in the world, personally. But I think we're used to going there, and a lot of us stay at the Oak and Spruce, a Holiday Inn. Um, and get together, and it's fun. So I want to keep it there, and I've been making a lot of day trips, which isn't a good use of time, to check out different places. I don't want to pick one of the Gilded Age mansions because then I would have to make the tickets astronomical. I want to keep the tickets reasonable so you don't have to feel bad about going. And I also am going to give a swag bag again. And the swag bag is always something really nice. There's always lots of treasure in there. So I have to bear that in mind. So I don't have a big budget for the place. So I almost signed a contract with a place in Lee, and it was a great place, but I was worried about parking, and I was worried that they didn't have enough tables and chairs for us. And then they were like, well, you could rent tables and chairs. And I'm thinking, well, you could rent tables and chairs, but I don't want to because that's another expense that I don't know what the shape of that is. I don't know what the end price is on that. And how do I tell people how much tickets are if I don't know if we have enough tables and chairs? So luckily I had this crazy thing happen where I thought of I drove to Stockbridge the other day because Aryan and Joss went to this Pokemon thing in Springfield, and I drove on to check out this place in Lee, and I thought, oh, I don't know. And then I drove into Stockbridge, and I thought, man, Stockbridge is the best. In autumn, Stockbridge is the best. This is also going to be the weekend of the Rhinebeck Fiber Festival, which is the biggest one in this part of the country. That's just over the line to New York. It's less than an hour from Stockbridge to Rhinebeck, and it's the same weekend. The Halloween party will happen on Friday. The festival is Saturday, Sunday. So I'm certainly staying over to go to Rhinebeck the next day. So the date, I'm going to conclude the story, but the date for the Halloween party, if you want to put it on your calendar now, is Friday, October 16th. That's it. I put the deposit down. Today, I put the deposit down. So I was driving through Stockbridge, and our main problem, I think, with downtown Stockbridge is such a classic and quaint problem. There's no parking because these are old villages, and there's an old rambling in there, and there's, the little country stores, and there's like this little antique store that's got LPs and records and vintage clothes, and there's a few galleries and a bunch of coffee shops, and it is as cute as a button, and there's nowhere to park. There's some places to park, but it's kind of stressful parking. You circle around like a shark, right? So I thought, no, no, no. And then I drove further up the road, and I know this area very well. And I was like, ooh, there's a church up here. It's right opposite this old cemetery. I think of it as the Sedgwick Cemetery. You know, Kira Sedgwick, who's married to Kevin Bacon. It's her people, like her family's cemetery, and they were revivalists, which meant that they believed that they would rise again with their bodies someday. So all of their stones in this little cemetery are facing a circle. So the whole idea was that when they did rise again, which they believed they would, and maybe they did, and I hope they did, the first thing they would see was each other in the family. So there's that cemetery, and opposite it is this beautiful old church. So I called the church because it has its own parking, and there's a giant parking lot in the back. And I described what we were trying to do, and I said I really need more space than I think. Because we bring our rugs and we do a display, or at least we're gonna have a throwdown, and there's vendors, and there's usually 65 people, but there would be 85 if I could sell more tickets, and we all need more space. So and want to visit with each other. And they said, we don't have that much space, but the school right next door it's like some kind of an old town building. I don't think it was the town hall because it's not the center, but it's like a Greek sort of portico kind of building with Greek columns out front. I always knew that it was something to do with the town. But now it's a high school. It's like a prep high school. And he said, you should call them because they just made this. I'm going to show you the picture. They just made this beautiful room. They just restored this beautiful, huge room, and I think they rent it out. And I said, oh, well, that's never going to work because like our thing is on Friday. We like it on Friday because we don't want to deal with like, leaf peeper traffic. So this is the building just to show you on the outside. And he said, no, it's not a problem because they don't go to school on Friday. So I was like, oh, so I sent an email right away. And I want to show you some of these other pictures because they're so pretty. This is, by the way, this is this is the cemetery I was just telling you about here. This is the church tower that won't work here. And this beautiful building is called the Children's Tower or the Children's Chimes. And that was built during the Victorian period. And that goes off to tell the kids it's time to get out of school. Not the kids in the high school, because that's only recently a high school, but the school buildings, right? Before people had clocks in their houses, generally, some people did, but not everybody. This would go off and you knew it was time to go to school and you knew it was time to come home to school. So that clock tower was just for the children. So it's called the Children's Tower. So So this is what a picture of this space looks like with this beautiful kind of wooden ceiling, almost like a boat, right? It's a big event space. And it is in this high school. So there are elevators, there's tons of bathrooms, and there's this giant parking lot out back that it shares with the church, but nobody's at the church on Friday. The kids aren't in school. So there's this giant parking lot that is just for the event. Elevators, bathrooms, this huge big space. I said, I'll take it. And they clean and for like extra, a little bit extra, they clean everything up and they help us set up and they have unlimited tables. So this was a big deal because I'm thinking, oh, 12 tables makes, we can't fill every seat when we've got our stuff and we're hooking. 12 tables makes X amount. I'm thinking 12 tables that would normally sit like 10 or 12 people, I'm going to say sit 5 people at best. And I'm always doing the math in my head. Well, not anymore. This whole building is tables and chairs, right, for a school. So, and I'm always thinking, does it have enough bathrooms? Well, it does have enough bathrooms, right? It's a school. And of course, they have kitchen stuff. So if we need anything to do with the kitchen, we can use the kitchen. Nobody's there. So this is going to be the absolute perfect place. I am so relieved. And if I hadn't called the church, he wouldn't. And if he had, I didn't call him. I sent an email and he called me on the phone back. And I usually, when I don't know the number, I don't always pick up the phone because that it's Isabella about my loan that I never put in, right? And it's recording. And totally winds me up. But I happened to pick up because I figure I had these calls out. And he was so nice. And then he gave me this guy's number. And then I wrote to this guy, and this guy actually wrote back within like 15 minutes. And I thought, I had signed the contract with another place that I was worried was not going to be right for parking and tables, but I was getting desperate. I was literally going to fax that. Like I went to the bathroom and then I was going to fax it. And in the meantime, my phone made a noise and it was the guy like calling. Phew. So we are all set for this year. If you're thinking, should I come? Is it going to be crowded? It's not going to be crowded. The last 2 years have been crowded because a lot of people have wanted to come. And I hate to say no when buddies want to come. But finally, we have found a place. If we keep it every year on a Friday, finally, we found a place that's going to be big for us that we can actually grow. So go ahead and book it. Go ahead and book it. I stay at the Oak and Spruce. A lot of us stay at the Oak and Spruce. There's lots of bed and breakfast. There's lots of chain hotels that are 10, 15 minutes away. If you're willing to drive 15 minutes away, there's a ton of chain hotels that are very economical. There's beautiful old country inns like the Red Lion Inn that cost a fortune. It'll be the trip of a lifetime for you if you can afford it or you want to treat yourself. Um, yeah, you can ask questions about it, but we will be there and it's going to be a great time. I don't know exactly who the vendors are yet. I'm working on that now. But we always have like 4 vendors. I'm always one of them. Kirsten's always one of them, but we'll have, I would think 2 or 3 more vendors, maybe 2 more. I don't want it to be crazy, but anyway, you can go ahead and book that. That's a coming, and it's nice to get that off the checklist and to get that paid for and everything else. So we got lots of stuff on the calendars. We're going to have a great year together here in 2026. Yeah, go ahead.
If there are vendors at other shows or with shops that
Yeah,
are interested in
good
having
idea.
Magpie
Yeah,
in their shop or at their stall,
yeah.
have them contact us for a vendor.
My husband's making another great point. I don't know if you can hear him. I shouldn't sound so surprised, should I? Because he is very smart after all. Couple of things. You just gave me another idea too. He's saying if anyone is out there who has business, who sells stuff, who sells patterns, and you're thinking about Magpie and saying, Magpie doesn't do advertising, but I would love to advertise with them, but they don't do advertising. Why don't you think about giving us a pattern, right? Doing a barter with me, giving us a nice pattern, short article, something like that, and we can do swapsies, right? I know the kind of businesses that I want to advertise in Magpie are small businesses that don't have money to advertise, right? What is that thing called that eats its tail? The Ouroboros or something like that? Ouroboros? It's like the Ouroboros. The people I want to advertise and lift up are small businesses, and the small businesses don't have the money to advertise. But we can make it work. If you have a business out there and you're thinking, I would love for people to know I make this or I sell this, and you're willing to do some kind of a barter with me, send an email and we will make it work. That's a great idea. Also, this isn't what Aryan said, but I'm thinking if you are local or semi-local and you're thinking, I'd like to be a vendor at the Halloween thing, maybe I'll only have a few vendors, but definitely contact me. Let me know because I don't bring a lot of stuff when I go because I'm busy with other stuff. So if you're interested in that too, definitely let me know. And if it's possible at all, I always want to say yes, right? I always want to. So let me know if you're interested in stuff like that. I always try to make it work. So hit me up if you can. Be happy
And
to.
if they're vendors or shop owners and they want to have Magpie in the store,
Oh yeah, he's saying if you're a vendor.
send an email with we have a vendor price.
Yeah, see, now I think he's wrong. He's saying we have a vendor price. We don't really have a vendor price because there's no profit built in at all. There's
Okay.
no profit at all. He's saying like if you have a store or something and you want to stock Magpie, the problem with that, this is an idea that he loves. I would love to stock Magpie in stores, but there is no profit built into Magpie. So if I were to, I'll tell you again for the 100th time, I adore you, but if we were going to sell Magpie wholesale, I would be making more of a loss than I am now. I don't know that I want to do that, to be honest. He's shaking his head. Um, if you would like to stock Magpie wholesale, open the conversation. Maybe he knows something I don't know. You never know. I've been wrong before. It's been known to happen. Gail, you were saying you'd be happy to swap the sun. I missed that. I'm sorry. I'd be happy to take the sun right now, but Laura does not want the sun. It's 98 degrees in Las Vegas today. That was crazy. Hey, happy weekend, everybody. I hope you get the weather you want. I hope you get the weekend you want. I guess I'll be back with you on Monday. Oh, you know what else I forgot to tell you, just in case you're interested, I'll post it. I'll post it on my Facebook page. I probably won't post it in the group. You know how last summer at my church, I'm at the UU Church in Hartford, I did the sermon about row cooking. Well, sometimes I participate in the service because I'm one of the worship associates, which means I'm one of the helpers. And I have another service this weekend. So while I'm not doing the sermon, I built like the whole service, and it is like all poetry, and it is based on the beautiful ancient Japanese concept of 72 micro seasons instead of 4 seasons. And with those 72 micro seasons, you get a new season about every 5 days. And it's tiny little seasons like there's a season called Rainbows Hide, and there's a season called Crickets Come Around Your Front Door. Like these are the kinds of names of these seasons. So the whole service is built around the idea of seasonal change and celebrating the small wonders in life. So I will post a link for that if you're interested in watching that. It will be a super feel good service. It is not preachy at all. It is very spiritual, very poetry based, and I will be singing one of my favorite songs of all time, one of my signature songs when I was a cabaret singer, the Carlos Jobim song that's called "The Waters of March" for March. So I'll post a link for that probably on my personal page if you're interested in watching that. It will be very relaxing and I hope very inspiring. So I might be with you in that way on Sunday. You're always welcome to log in there too to the chat. And otherwise, I will be with you on Monday. And I don't know what we'll do, but we'll have a great show on Monday. Ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com if you want to reach me between now and then. Have a great weekend, right? Go out and do your stuff. Have fun, do your stuff, get it done, and then get in early and relax. Do your stuff. And I will catch up with you on Monday when it's coffee time at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.